May it please the Court, my name is Yusuf Bendahain and I'll be representing the claimants in this case as junior counsel. My first submission is that the type of cloud system used was inadequate given the sensitive nature of the data being processed. In support of this submission, I'll be relying on Article 17 of the EU Data Protection Directive. This article stipulates that the data controller must implement appropriate technical and organisational measures to protect personal data against unauthorised access. In particular, where the processing of the data involves the transmission of data over a network. The sensitive nature of the data being stored by GZ means it should have been afforded a greater degree of control. Specifically, the deployment model used to transfer the data should have been that of a private cloud as opposed to that of a communal cloud, which it seems that GZ have been using in order for it to transfer data to its collaborative research centres. A private cloud would have allowed for restricted access, as GZ would have been its only user. A communal cloud allows for access by multiple users with shared interests, as the collaborative research centres have. It is absurd that a community cloud should have been used in circumstances where genetic, medical and personal data was being transferred. That, if breached, would no doubt have the potential to cause great harm to the participants. This failure shows a complete disregard for the protection of the data of the individuals involved in the research. If it was so important for GZ to use a communal cloud, then it should have been more selective in the data that it chose to move to the cloud, using it only for less sensitive data. That concludes my first submission. To proceed on to my second submission, that the transfer of data from outside the EU was negligent according to EU law, as the US safe harbour has been deemed to offer an inadequate level of protection to personal data. In support of this, I'll be relying on Article 25 of the EU Data Protection Directive. According to Article 25 of the EU Data Protection Directive, GZ should not have permitted data to be transferred to any country outside the EU unless that country is deemed capable of providing an inadequate level of protection in the processing of personal data. Of particular concern for our purposes is the EU, where the claimants are from, as the CJEU has ruled, overriding the Commission's decision, that the US safe harbour does not provide an adequate level of protection. This is because of a derogation within the US safe harbour framework, which allows for companies to disapply the principles in certain circumstances. The impact of this decision is that an EU organisation, such as GZ, is prohibited from transferring data via cloud computing to any non-EU country. GZ therefore have acted negligently according to EU law. Article 26 of the EU Directive allows a derogation from Article 25 where the data subjects have given their consent. However, the fact that the participants gave their consent is no defence in this case, as it is widely accepted that this does not apply to such large transfers of personal data. That concludes my second submission. I'll now proceed to my third and final submission, that failure to comply with the EU directive will result in compensation being paid to the data subjects. In support of this, I'll be relying on Article 23 of the EU Data Protection Directive. Article 23 of the EU Directive allows for data subjects to receive compensation from the data controller where damage has been suffered as a result of non-compliance with the directive. The only exemption from this is where the data controller can prove that they were not responsible for the event giving rise to the damage. The damage done to the participants in this instance was extensive, with highly sensitive data being made available online. Future employment prospects could potentially be affected where employers find out about the illnesses to which DNA reveals some participants to be more susceptible 2. That concludes my third and final submission. Unless I can be of any further assistance, then those are my submissions.